Today we are going to make a coffee chiffon cake. First, heat the milk in the microwave for 25 seconds, then add the coffee powder and mix well. Mix the oil and flour. As you can see, this method of first combining the oil and flour is simple and won't develop gluten. You can stir it any way you want and don't have to sieve the flour neither. Then add the coffee milk mixture and egg yolks. Stir until all well combined. Now let's whip the egg whites. Add cream of tartar to the egg whites and beat on high speed. Cream of tartar can stabilize the meringue. If you don't have it, you can add a small teaspoon of lemon juice instead. When you see big bubbles forming, add a third of the sugar. When the foam becomes thinner and silkier, you can add another third of the sugar. Continue to beat at high speed. The foam will continue to get silkier and you will start to see some texture lines. At this point, you can add the remaining sugar and beat on medium-high speed. Continue beating until you see some stiff peaks. After lifting the whisk, the meringue is stable and firm and the peak will not drip. Scoop about 1/3 of the egg whites to the batter and fold it in gently. This is to lighten the batter initially and prepare it for the rest of the egg whites. Once it's mixed well, change to a spatula and pour it into the egg whites. Continue to fold gently until it's all combined. Repeat this movement until the batter is homogeneous. Don't overdo it. Transfer the batter to the pan immediately. Tap it a couple of times, shake it, and draw a few circles with a toothpick to flatten the surface. Place it in the oven and bake it at 300 degrees for about 50 minutes. Personally, I prefer to bake it at 300 degrees for 40 minutes, then increase the temperature to 320 degrees for 5 minutes. This is after a few testing with my oven, as oven temperature varies. If I just bake it at 300 degrees for 50 minutes, even though it's perfectly baked, the top of the cake will be a bit sticky after it's cool. So if you have the same problem, you can do the same switch. Once it's out of the oven, tap it on the table once, then cool it upside down. It will take 2 to 3 hours to cool completely. Remove it from the base slowly, then slide it into 3 layers. We're going to start decorating it. Add a little bit of cream at the bottom to secure the cake to the cake board. I'm using chocolate whipped cream frosting as the filling. I'll provide the link on how to make this in the description below. Chocolate whipped cream and coffee cake are the perfect match because it's mocha. I'm also adding some chocolate balls for a little bit of crunch in the cake. Repeat the steps. The top layer is usually the bottom of the cake. This is because it's usually the smoothest part and it will be easier to frost. The cream for the outer layer is a whipped cream frosting. I'll provide a link on how to make this in the description below. When decorating a chiffon cake, I usually only use whipped cream frosting, never buttercream. This is because chiffon cake is very light and airy. You want to match it with something light and airy as well. Buttercream is just too heavy. Smooth out the cream the best you can. It doesn't have to be perfect. You can also just use the chocolate whipped cream for the entire cake. Put this in the fridge to chill while we prepare the chocolate lace. For the chocolate lace, I'm using this chocolate wafer because it's easy to handle. You can also use a regular chocolate or chocolate chip. Melt it in the microwave for about a minute. Once it's melted, pour it into a piping bag. I have a piece of acetate sheet that is long enough to wrap the cake. Start piping the chocolate on it. It doesn't have to be perfect, just freeform. If you don't have acetate sheet, you can just use parchment paper. Once you are happy with the lace, leave it on the counter for just a few minutes. Take the cake out from the fridge and immediately wrap the lace around it. Make sure it's touching the cake. Then put it back in the fridge immediately to cool. The melted chocolate wafer will cool and harden very quickly in the fridge. Once it's hardened, you can then remove the acetate sheet carefully. The lace is slightly taller than my liking, so I'm removing part of it. For the finishing touch, I'm going to pipe some whipped cream on top and dust some espresso powder on it. And this is now completed.